Welcome to The Purpose Effect, the space where we get honest, we get intentional, and we get aligned with the life God has designed for us. I am your host, Alesha, on Mondays, and of course, my amazing friend David does it on Wednesdays, and together we do it on Fridays. Our mission is simple: to help you stop floating through life and to start living with purpose, clarity, and action. And today, you guys, I have a very special guest. I am so excited to have her on here. And I will tell you, I'm reading her bio and I am just blown away at all the things that she has accomplished and how God is using her to impact so many people. So let me introduce you to Kelly. She is a transformational business strategist who empowers professionals to shatter limitations and embrace abundant living. As the president of Minerva, a women's telehealth and technology company, a former executive at Good Leap, a multi-billion-dollar company, and co-owner of Go Abundance, she unlocks exponential growth through innovative mindset strategies and high-level consulting. She's also the author of Big Voices, guiding individuals and organizations to break through barriers and design intentional paths to success. She's a thought leader at the intersection of personal growth and strategic thinking, and she proves that professional excellence and personal fulfillment are interconnected. And I will also tell you guys, she has a couple more books coming out, and leading up to this, before we hopped on, her and I were having some amazing conversations. And you guys, this episode is going to be amazing. So you want to stay through this whole thing because it is going to be phenomenal. Kelly, thank you so much for being on here today.
I'm just incredibly honored and excited to share. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm super excited. First off, it's fun as we were talking before we got on here of all the connections, as we begin to realize, oh my goodness, you know this person, I know this person,
Yeah.
and just we begin to realize just how small this world is. But like we talked about, it's also about walking out our purpose. And you begin to realize as we begin to be intentional with things, God opens doors and connects paths. Kelly, can you just share a little bit more about yourself and how you, if you want to share a little bit of your journey of how you've gotten to where you're at today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in Northern California, and I'll be honest with you, I was a classic overachiever, people pleaser, perfectionist until I had my awakening in 2004. And so I was very achievement focused, had a wonderful career in the mortgage industry. I was a top 1% loan officer. From the outside, it looked like my life was completely successful. The big mansion, the second home, the cars, all of the things. But on the inside, I was absolutely stressed out and completely exhausted. That's probably the only way to share that. And in 2004, just shortly after my mom got diagnosed with dementia, I would say that is when I started to awaken to this idea that really success is an inside out job. And since then, I've been on an adventure. I wish I could tell you that it ends at some point when the idea of being healed or awakened or enlightened, it is always constantly who I was yesterday is a slightly different version from who I am today. And so I got obsessed with really this human journey, and that took me into psychology, mindfulness, neuroscience, health, wellness, and then business as well. I got away from what I would say is worrying as much about the productivity and achievement, but I've also come back to this place that there are a lot of things that really bring us continuous joy on this human adventure that we're on. And so today I get to share a lot of these things with other people through the mastermind community that I co-own, through speaking, writing. But on top of that, I have truly been spirit-led for at least the last 14 years, I would say. Even when I started my personal growth journey, I wasn't quite spirit-led yet. I still thought that I needed to figure it out on my own. And today I just go where God puts me. And for example, this podcast, one of the things that I live by is my purpose statement with an open heart. I'm going to share wisdom with other people so that I can help them reduce self-suffering and increase joy. And nothing's more aligned with what you're trying to do. That's definitely why I'm here. What I do today, I'm a mom. It's my favorite part of life. I love being a mom to my two kids, Paige and Cole, who are adults, which is holy moly, if you are not an empty nester, it's a lot of fun having adults in your world that are your kids. And then I'm president of Minerva, a women's femtech company where we do telemedicine in all 50 states and really want to help women. That was a God thing as well. I can dig into that more. I still work at Good Leap a little bit as well. And then I have a couple other companies that I have too.
I love hearing all that you're doing. I also love how you called it how you had an awakening. I think that's a
Yeah.
really powerful thing. And because I talk to a lot of people about the idea of just being aware. And I think oftentimes we are just going through life and we don't even realize what we don't know, right? Like until
Yeah.
all of a sudden there's something that's stirring. And really the first part of walking out one's purpose is having this awareness of what does that look like and how is our life maybe not following that way. And I often find too is it doesn't have to be like initially my life didn't change drastically as I began to walk out my purpose, but I began to go, oh wait, this doesn't line up as much with my purpose. And this doesn't. Now I was walking out some of it,
Yeah.
but not to the full intention. It sounds like you were doing the same. And then God just begins to open more and more doors as
Every day.
you
Oh my
follow it.
gosh. Like
And it doesn't end. It just
it
keeps
is an
going.
incredible adventure once you surrender, right? To the
Yes.
idea that I need to control, anticipate, do all of the things. And it's scary because that is honestly not what the 3D world's taught us. Like when you think about when you're little, right? Something as simple as your parent managing how much food you eat.
Yes.
100% contradictory to what the Bible says. The birds don't worry, and parents start to, I hate to admit it, we've
Mhm.
created an entire generation of narcissists. Because when parents
Yes.
are hovering and they're solving for their child and we rob them of those experiences, I can guarantee my mom never worried about how much I ate. She never worried about whether or not my feelings got hurt in this because part of the journey is learning how to sit in it on your own and be able to solve problems. And when I say awakening, like for me, I lived to impress. I lived to show whether it was my mom or other people or whatever, what it was that I was doing. And when you do that, you sacrifice living for God. And
Yes.
when I really just look at the expression of my life, like I want to be in awe of what I've been able to create and do in the world to be able to serve the greater good. And most people are just worried about their own little world and what do I look like?
Yeah.
How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to do that? Now, I'm not saying that we don't need stability.
Yeah.
We want to have stability and security, but to build on top of that, I just believe if we don't have God-sized goals, like what are we doing? We're
Yes.
watching Netflix and scrolling on our
Yes.
phone.
Yeah.
Like, how much wasted time are people spending today
Yeah.
when we've come so far away from what our ancestors were doing, which was connecting, whether it was around the fire or making things together or supporting one another. And now we've just become so isolated as
Yeah.
humans in our own
Yeah.
little worlds that I see a lot of self-suffering happening.
Yeah, I think that is such a key point is we've gotten to the point to where we are so isolated, but yet God created us for relationships. From the very
Yeah,
beginning, God said, I want people, I want relationships, I want
yeah,
connection. And
yeah.
so in return, like he wants that connection with us, he wants that relationship with us, but that also means that we are created for relationships as well
Yeah.
and building those and getting back into that. It really, unfortunately, I do feel like it's an uphill battle with society right now of saying, wait a second, no, we need to be connected. We
It
can't be
really is.
isolated.
And this is statistics, right?
Yeah.
If you really look at the statistics today, the number of people that feel overwhelmed,
Mhm.
lonely, bored, like
Yeah.
uninspired is high. And
Yeah.
yet we have literally gone warp speed on the amount of information.
Yeah.
When I started personal growth, I had to go to an event. I had to
Mhm.
go to the bookstore.
Yep.
I had to do work to get the information. And now I can go type into chat Give me the 10 top things that I should know about this or that. Like the information is at our
Yeah.
fingertips. The application in action is where people miss the boat, right?
Yeah.
It is, how do
Yeah.
I move myself? And when you look at our entire journey, I will be honest. God gave me parents that set a foundation for abundance. My mom was a real estate investor and ran my dad's business. He was an entrepreneur. I didn't know anything different. So
Yeah.
they weren't worried about how much retirement they were going to get or anything. They just both put their heads down and they created success. And we played and had a lot of adventure as well. And so I had a really good foundation. That's not what most people have. And so when you think of all of the programming, and some people it's subtle with just life, and for other people it's traumatic. Like
Yeah.
they've had abuse or other things that they're having to work through. But the greatest gift that we can give ourselves is that gift of healing. And I think healing is what leads to the awareness. And when I say healing, some of them are micro. I work with
Mhm.
people and have worked with people that had the best parents, but someone said something to them at some point and it stuck. Our subconscious is way stronger than our conscious mind. And
Mhm.
so when we start down that journey of what's lodged in there that's affecting my life experience, like I live in a way in which it's like I'm the creator. I get to choose the way that I create my life. And so I'm not waiting. For
Yeah.
example, I am moving to West Palm Beach, Florida next Friday and super excited about it. It was a God thing. Like literally,
Yeah.
he was like, "You're moving there." And it was just an amazing like way that everything just unfolded and came together. But for the majority of people, the certainty, the comfort zone of what they've created has become a prison. And I'm a big energy person. I know you
Yes.
live near the mountains. If
Yes.
you're near the mountains, a lake, or an ocean,
Mhm.
we know that you're going to experience more happiness than somebody that doesn't. There's
Yeah.
energy everywhere that we go. And when we start to track, like, where do I feel
Yeah.
like
Yes.
at my best, then it starts to calibrate the external world. A book that I have coming out later this year, it's already written, it's done. I'm sure John Maxwell, he wrote the foreword for it for me. It's called The Frequency of Abundance. He actually told me to write it. I
Oh
had
my
praying.
goodness.
This is how purpose works. I had been praying, like, I'm like, God, I feel another book on my heart. Like, what should I write this book on? And John and I were speaking at an event together, and I came off stage, and John was like, do you already have a book on this specific thing? And I'm like, no. And he's like, you need to write it, and I'm going to help you. Boom, done, 6 months. I was like, I didn't like, I think people think God speaks to us with a light bulb moment in the shower. Yes, that
Yeah.
can happen. But I also believe it's like you get these signs from the external
Yes.
world of where I need to go next.
Yeah.
And so it's just one of those things that like we've got to be awake.
Yeah.
We've got to be awake to the energy that we create.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
call it the frequency of abundance. It's God's world,
Mm.
right? When it
Yes.
is just like you are radiating, and it's things like, what is your house setup like?
Ah,
What are the relationships like? Are they
yeah.
draining, or are they nurturing, or are they inspirational? How do you take care of your physical well-being? How do you really focus on how you want to feel? Everyone's got endless to-do lists, and
Yeah.
most people don't have a how do I want to feel list. And your brain's
Yeah.
lazy. If you
Yes.
felt bored yesterday, you're gonna feel bored today. Unless
Yes.
you give it
Yes.
instructions. I don't want to freaking feel bored. Like I want to
Yeah.
be lit up about the
Yes.
conversations that I have.
Oh my goodness, Kelly, it's so awesome what you're saying because it's exactly the stuff that I've been even the last few years on this journey. And I think one of the things that you said is it's a choice. I think so many of us think, oh, it just life just is happening to me and all this woe is me. But we all have a choice to say, I'm going to choose. to make a difference today. I'm going to choose to pivot today. I'm going to choose a different perspective. And I think even you're talking about just frequency, so much of it is our mindset too. What do we focus on? What are the thoughts that we dwell on? I will tell you that
Yeah.
days, if I choose to dwell on woe is me and oh my goodness, oh, my day just started off so bad and now it's going to be like, oh, the day's just going to be horrible. I just set the stage for the rest of the day by saying, no, the rest of the day is going to be bad. Like, why would I do that? Like, why would I speak that out instead of saying, today's going to be great? Now, it doesn't mean that the day won't have issues, but how do I choose to look at those issues? How do I
Yeah.
choose to pivot and go, you know what? I
Yeah.
just learned from that. Yeah, maybe that wasn't really a fun experience, but what did I take away from it? How did it help me grow and walk out my purpose even more? And so I think you nailed it with the choice. And I think also being aware of emotions. One of the things, I do a leadership retreat at my place, and we focus a lot on emotions and identifying where you even feel them in your body, because I think people, they're just not aware of that. When I say, hey, you know what? I know what you're saying. You're telling me a story and it seems like you're really, maybe really stressed or even really happy. Where do you feel it in your body? And they're like, oh, wow, I feel it here or there. And again, it goes back to the awareness, right? And the awakening of going, that it all plays in together. God created our
Mm,
world, our earth, our bodies in such a miraculous way. And how do we incorporate all of them together and really take it from his perspective? And that is really where we begin to experience massive shifts in our life.
100%. There's a couple things that I would tell you along that journey that you just talked
Yeah.
about. One of the first truths that if you choose to believe this, it will change your life is that you are not your brain.
Yes.
So thought is brain. Feeling is
Mhm.
not, right? And so really, because we feel it in our body. When something happens,
Mhm.
you might feel it in your chest. You might feel it
Yep.
in your stomach. You're not feeling it in your brain.
Yeah.
Now, some people might get a headache or if they
Yeah.
see somebody. When you acknowledge that you're not your brain, because your brain's not going with you to heaven,
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes.
you start to use it like you do ChatGPT. So the one thing that we knew about technology, and this has actually been a shift in my own like way that I explain
Yeah.
this, because I used to basically say, imagine your brain like the original cell phone that you had. My
Yes.
mom had a briefcase. Could you imagine walking into a meeting today with a briefcase? That's the brain that you have. It's the same brain that our ancestors had on the
Yeah.
Serengeti, right?
Yes.
Has to be trained. When you think about your parents tried to train it, maybe the church tried to train it, your teachers, your peers, all these people were training it without you even realizing it, because we're very
Mhm.
impressionable at a young age.
Mhm.
And so
Yep.
now I've got to retrain it. So I want to hit Control Alt Delete. I want the latest edition. I need to tell it what it should focus on, how it should focus, the things that it should really be able to do for me. And now I'm actually looking at it more like Chat GPT, because it's a better analogy.
Yeah.
Chat GPT is great. It is freaking insane when it knows
Yes.
you and you've
Yes.
trained it. I just came off of an amazing AI call that the GoBundance community just hosted with Dr. Rachel Gainsborough, who's one of
Yeah.
our experts on AI. And it was like, her AI it's her brain on crack, right? Like it knows everything. It can create content, it can manage her teams, it can give her dashboard. Like it is phenomenal. When you think about your brain that way, there's like just a few like minor adjustments.
Yeah.
Language is one thing that people don't really focus on. Once you've learned the English language, nobody's trying to up-level their vocabulary unless they're
Mhm.
intentional with purpose. When we up-level our language, we up-level our environment and the energy that we bring. I've worked with billionaires to politicians to business owners, like you name it. Subtle shifts in language drastically impact your influence, like drastically. And
Yeah.
so something that subtle is like, I think I'm talking to other people. Let that go. Who you're really
Yeah.
talking to is yourself. Your brain is listening to every word you say. So when you think about how we communicate, right? We're communicating from a
Yeah.
certain region of our brain, but our ears are still hearing it and bringing that
Yes.
information back in. And so the things I'm telling my brain every day are super positive and
Yeah.
super abundant. And when people look at like the people that come in and out of my life, where I'm like, I just am in the right place at the right time and meet like the most amazing people that will change the ball game for my life from an introduction standpoint. And so we have to think about ourselves just as this, like, I am magnetic.
Yes.
I am
Yes.
magnetic. And I like opportunistically am just drawing in the right resources, the right connections. And I think people really misunderstand what the Bible says about wealth and
Oh,
also wealth.
absolutely.
Because I can tell you what we've
Yeah.
created has changed the world. Through our nonprofit at Goodleap, over 1 million people have clean water a day because of our water desalination plants. Don't tell me wealth isn't great. Wealth
Yes.
is sinful if it's self-absorbed and
Yes.
you're
Yep.
not following what you should give back
Yeah.
and you're not making an effort and intertwining that
Yeah.
into your purpose. So I know I probably just answered a whole lot more than what you just wanted, but like I think people have to realize just like you go through the steps of maybe setting up a phone or doing this, creating abundance in your life is no different. It's just taking one step today, and then
Yes.
tomorrow another step, and the next day another step. And I can tell you, like, God, again, has just put those people in my life, whether it was like, I just remember listening to Francis Chan one day, and he was like, if you're not reading the Bible every day, like, you're going to
Mhm.
miss out. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden, I'm like, there's no reason why I can't read the
Yeah.
Bible every day.
Yeah.
So I started reading the Bible every day. And then the next person makes this suggestion, and you're just layering in different ways of making sure God knows who's most important in your world.
Yeah.
And when you make him most important, your purpose becomes easy.
Yeah. That's, I think I realize that every day as I continue to live with intention and walking out my purpose and going, okay, God, where do you want me to go next? How do you want me to walk this out? And I tell people yes, trials and tribulations come. We know that there's going to be things that come up but it's that there's this peace. It's this, oh my goodness, I just trust you. No matter how it turns out,
Yeah,
I just really
yeah,
trust you in this.
yeah,
And it's like the most amazing spot to be in. And I think that's why I get so much louder about finding our purpose. And I think it starts with an awareness, and then it starts with digging into our identity and recognizing that we're God's masterpiece, that our identity is not defined on what everybody else thinks or what's happened in our lives or our roles or expectations. But then it's as you get those, then you get the clarity. And then you begin to go, okay, God, I'm walking out this purpose. And it's just, I want everybody to experience this. I want
yeah,
everybody to go, wow, this is what life is meant to be. This
yeah,
is how we're meant to walk it out when God said from the beginning, like, I have a purpose for you. But Satan
yeah,
doesn't want us to walk it out. Like he likes to keep us like just floating and comfortable. And so it's just powerful. Okay, so let me ask you
yeah.
this. When you were talking about the brain and saying things, is it more powerful to actually speak it out, or is it just as effective to just be saying it in our head? Have you found
It,
difference between
yeah.
the two?
It is mixing the words with feeling and
Okay.
visualization. So
Okay.
for example, if I have $1 in my bank account and I know that I want to get to the next level, I have to
Yeah.
feel as if in order for that energy to start lining up.
Yes.
And so I love affirmations. I love mantras. I look at mine every
Yep.
day. I actually have a journal on Amazon, which is my Big Voices journal, which just helps people with prompts of like, how do you look at your goals
Yeah.
every day? Because I know my brain needs to see
Yeah.
every single day the
Yeah.
intentionality that I bring to the table. And so I would tell you that I've been teaching goal planning for 20 years. The biggest mistake people make is to not test that it's actionable.
Yes.
They're
Yeah.
like, I want to sell 10 houses. What do you need to do to be sell 10 houses? Let's
Yeah.
take a step backwards and start to make it into actionable things that you can actually do, because all of the things that most people do with goals are outside of their control. And
Yeah.
so we've got to be really thoughtful about what that really looks like. And so when you think about the frequency, It is the embodiment. So yes, can I teach you about mindset? Yes, but that's up here, right? I can teach you the beliefs. I can teach you the strategies. Where we want to get to is full embodiment, which is, I don't even need that. And there is a path, but it does take energy initially because, again, you're rewiring pathways that might have been laid from the time that you were two,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, whatever that internal noise really looks like. And so the greatest gift that we can give ourselves is to acknowledge that we have multiple voices that come from our head. Now, one thing that I would tell you is that I believe that we've poisoned ourselves so much that the devil is basically on a beach chair drinking a margarita, just watching you torture yourself. He doesn't
Yeah.
even have to
Yes.
show up anymore
Yeah.
because you're looking at social media and you're comparing. You're going to the grocery store and you're worried about your debit card not going through,
Yeah.
whatever it might be. And so when we start to step into our power, like really, what do I really want this life experience to be? Like, how do I want to show up in the world? And I start taking those steps every single day. And
Yep.
I have discernment to know, okay, that's a voice. It's not mine. I don't know where it came from, but I'm going to release it and I'm going to replace it with a voice that is from
Yeah.
God, in my biggest voice, in my purpose. Is this in alignment? Because sometimes shiny object things will show up for me and then I'll look at it and be like, it's really not on purpose.
Yeah.
So I've got to say no. And then I also know I have a human capacity for greatness that if I go beyond, that's where I put myself at risk. So
Mm.
my human capacity for greatness, like I'm not a workaholic. I'm very thoughtful about when I'm done. Like I take a bath every day. That's my
Yeah.
transition. It's my work's over. Now I'm going
Yep.
to focus on something else, whether it's exercise, reading, spending time with friends, whatever that might be. And so when I know what my human capacity for greatness is, then I'm gonna be in a place of energy to be able to follow those cues, to be able to see them. Because what most people don't realize is that the signs have been there all along.
Yeah.
Your reticular activator just didn't notice them. That's the area of your brain that like directs focus because you haven't shown them. Like when I told God, I need to know what book to write next. I need to know where to move next. I need to know where you want me to show up. I had to be quiet enough
Yes.
and not burnt out to hear him. Like
Yeah.
my Minerva, like moving forward with revolutionizing women's healthcare. That is where God moved me to. I literally last April semi-retired from my executive role and was like at a place where I was not 100% sure where I was going to go. And I went to Europe for 40 days. Like literally just was like, I woke up in the morning. I had several speaking events. I spoke at Cannes Lion and the Cannes Film Festival. And then in the rest of the time, I was in Greece or Italy on a beach or a lawn chair or whatever it was. And I was just like I love that verse from a song that Spirit lead me where my trust is
Yes.
without borders. That's where I was. I was just like, Spirit lead
Mhm.
me. Come on, God. And as absolutely direct as humanly possible because I did an event with John for his master class and it was literally like an hour. I'm like on my balcony in Positano like talking to the group and it was the most direct message that I had, which was you have spent the first half of your life focused on people. I
Mm.
need you to fix broken systems. And I was like, oh, what does that mean? Like broken systems, there's so many, right?
Yeah.
There is big pharma, the food
Hmm.
industry. There is leadership in the United States is broken. There's but the
Yeah.
political
Like, where do you
system.
stop?
Where do you, I'm all, what does that mean? No sooner than 5 days, Dr. Betty, who's like the leading hormone metabolism doctor in the nation, reached out and said, I know you just wanted to be an advisor, but I would like you to come in and run the company. And I was like, okay, let's go. Like, we're revolutionizing women's healthcare. And God has helped us since then. The FDA pulled the black box warning from hormone replacement therapy, and we get to educate people from a perspective of, hey, like we do have a human body that, and I love God. He
Yeah.
didn't design it initially. Now I think that it will shift in the future because that is just the way
Yeah.
that human DNA gets moved, but we were not designed to live as long as we are.
Yeah.
The things that start to break down after our ability to procreate are at an all-time high. And so I'm like so excited about being able to live on purpose. And I believe women in their power are going to restore peace and harmony in the world
Yeah.
because we are the ones raising our kids.
Yeah.
And for any mom out there, if you don't practice conscious parenting,
Yeah.
which is be the change you want to see in your kid,
Yep.
quit telling them
Yep.
the things they should be doing, quit putting the pressure on
Yeah.
them because you are wiring them for addiction,
Yep.
distraction, and self-sabotage.
Yeah.
When you just embody, the best way to show your kids is to be. You don't want
Yeah.
your kid on your phone? Get off your
Mhm.
phone.
Yes. Yep.
You want your kid to eat healthy? Eat healthy.
Yep.
You
Yep.
want them to be in great relationships where they don't gossip? Don't let them overhear your conversations with your friends talking smack
Yes.
about something
Yeah.
or the Kardashians or whatever. No offense to you guys that the Kardashians, whatever, but why are people obsessed with so many things outside of their own home? Like showing up and just being present is what's going to change. And if women, who we are the ones that control consumer spending, I
Yes.
always tell people, you want to
Mhm.
fix the food industry? Quit buying the food. Quit buying the
Yep.
United States recipe for Kraft macaroni and cheese,
Yes.
and they will give us the same recipe they ship to
Yeah.
Europe.
Yeah.
Stop buying
Yeah.
the BS that you need an
Mhm.
antidepressant or sleep aid and start
Mhm.
realizing that your hormones aren't serving you so that big pharma adapts. What are the biggest drugs right now? Diabetic drugs, heart
Mhm.
disease. Don't get me started on breast cancer. These are all things that we know how to support people through, and yet big business doesn't give us those tools.
And I think it goes right back to where we first started is there has to be an awakening and awareness.
Yeah.
People have to recognize that in order to shift things, you also have to live intentionally. Like in order to live healthy, in order to live parenting, like one of the things that my husband and I have incorporated, we have 5 kids and we have 4 at home. I have my oldest one is married and I'm a grandma and she's
Oh,
my
no,
grandbaby's
you are
spectacular.
not.
Oh, she's amazing. I am like loving it. But with that, like we've over the last couple of weeks, we've now actually spent at least an hour in the evenings where we're just in the living room, just
Mm,
hanging out. And what's really fun is my kids are asking for it. They're actually saying, okay,
magical.
is it that time to just connect? Because what we were finding is we were so easily all just going to our rooms and going and doing our things. And my husband and I had spent all day working. We're exhausted. The kids were, so we just naturally go. And now we're being very intentional and coming back together. And I think that is where it's so important when people begin to realize they have a choice in how they live, they have a choice in how life plays out for them, but they have to do it with intentionality too. Like
Yeah.
it requires me going, okay, you know what? I know I have tons of stuff that I need to get done, but you know what? My kids are really important and I want to
Yes.
spend that time with them. And so
Yes.
I have to set aside that stuff and be with them. And I'm finding the more I do it, the more rewarding it is.
Oh.
And it's just but yeah, it really, oh my goodness,
Well,
Kelly,
one thing to add on this, because
yes,
this is another probably the second shift. And this came from I don't know if Brendan Burchard, I got
yep,
to be with him in Las Vegas before he published High Performance Habits. Like he was workshopping the ideas. My biggest takeaway, and it was the reason why I went there. There were a couple other things too. Dr. Christiane Northrup was there too, who's an amazing OBGYN, thought leadership on healing the body and how trauma leaves issues. But the biggest shift I took away from him was that when we think about ourselves like a power plant and not a gas tank, it will shift. So think about your situation. If I look at life like a gas tank, I start it full when I start my day. And then by the time I go home to the people that mean the most to me, I'm empty. So that hour of connection is a burden. and not a joy.
Yes.
And so when we're a power plant, we start with no energy. So how am I going to get energy? I need to have connection. I'm going to get off this call and I'm going to be like fired up. I'm going to like it literally, I get to put calls like this into my day with purpose so that
Yes.
I can have energy at the end of the day and be able to do the things that are really important to me. And so that shift is, again, we can create the reality that we choose. When I
Yeah.
joined Goodly 15 years ago, I let them know, listen, God has given me this big purpose to impact women all over the world, and I need some flexibility. And they're like, 100%, and do it here. So I was able to support the women there too and be able to share a lot of this with everyone on our teams. Like we have a culture that's built on personal growth there. So for the person that's, this all sounds great, but I'm freaking exhausted. You're exhausted because you've been running your life in an old manner, which is the
Yeah.
gas tank.
Yeah.
Start to create energy. Who do you need to set boundaries with? Do you need to audit your time? And trust me, for someone listening saying, oh, it must be nice that you've been an executive and done all these things. This didn't come from like, I was gifted this. I just put myself in the energetic level. I was a thought leader, and that's what created a lot of opportunities in my career and building a mastermind to be able to help other women that were
Yeah.
feeling lonely on the journey. And so all it starts with is just deciding. I left a very lucrative career to do something completely different. So I had to start over when I took the
Yeah.
executive role. If anybody knows like mortgage, when you are top performing, you make more than the executives do. That's things shift. And then and went into fintech, right? Now I've done it again and gone into something else. So it's not like I've just had this cush experience.
Yeah.
What's really made the difference is the embodiment of the beliefs that God has given me. And
Mhm.
that has invited in more and more opportunity.
Oh my goodness, Kelly, I feel my head's exploding because of all this. It's so powerful. The things that you are talking about, these are they maybe people are going, oh, this seems so simple. These are life-changing concepts. These change people to the core of their being, and they can begin to walk out their purpose when they begin to understand these perspectives and what you're
Yeah.
sharing here. It's so powerful. And wow, Kelly, oh my goodness, this has been absolutely phenomenal having you on here
Absolutely. And trust
today.
me, you're going to hear a lot more from me. God has put me in a place now where I'm like, it's time to
It's
get loud
time.
and disruptive again.
Yes.
And this is about a collaboration between men and women. My last TEDx was all on like the collaboration between men and women and how women need to focus on some of these
Yeah.
internal things that
Yeah.
stop us from taking the next step, because
Yes.
I believe that we can help restore American families. We can help
Yeah.
restore health and wellness across so many different places. And really just, I feel like this is one of the most amazing places to live. Like, why isn't our happiness index higher?
Yes.
Like, why are
Yes.
people suffering
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
there are places all over the world with no
Mhm.
electricity and no water,
Yeah.
and they're happier than we are? Like,
Yeah.
let's really
Yeah.
use, I say that we can use AI so that we can spend more time on awareness and connection
Yeah.
and our purpose. Don't
Yeah.
use AI to create more productivity.
Yeah.
Use it to help you more productive in the
Yes.
hours that you work so that you can spend more time doing what you're doing. We get one life. One life.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. So let's end. I want to end with this. First off, you remind me of the book. So you already have one book out, Big Voices, and there's a
Yeah,
journal
I've
out
got a
there with
couple
it.
out, but that's the one I would check
Okay.
out. Big Voices. Yep.
Okay. And then you said, what are the two that you're coming out with? And when are they?
Dr. Betty and I have a book coming out here in the next probably 30 to 45 days called
Okay.
Just. We believe
Okay.
it's going to be the women's Bible for taking your life to the next level. Really
Okay.
education around hormones, what's happened over the last 40 years when it comes to women's health, and the things that you can do to be able to put yourself in that position where you really step into your power. And that's what that's about. And then frequency of abundance is coming out a little bit later in the year. And yeah, just super excited about it. And I know, like, when we make an impact in somebody's life, like, the ripple effect is we just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But for anyone listening, transformation only comes when you actually allow yourself to be an emotion. And I just want you to imagine what your life would be like if you woke up in the morning and you were like, oh, thank you, God. Like, I'm in awe of the gifts you've given me, including the challenging ones. We didn't even get into that today. Like, I've had a long list of them. Trust me, like a long list of them. And it's not that I'm without, it's that I know they were intentional from God because I needed to let go of my identity. I needed to let go of all of the beliefs that didn't serve me so that I could walk in his purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. Kelly, okay, so can you come on again, like in the fall when your books are both out, and let's talk again
Absolutely.
and connect.
Anytime.
Maybe even
Like,
sooner, but
yeah, whenever you want to just have a chat like this, call me up. I'm good.
it's just this just lines up with so much of what we share here on the Purpose Effect, and just some powerful things. I've actually been taking notes as you've been talking, going, oh my goodness, this is so good. Oh my goodness, this is so good. And so I'm just so grateful for you and for you being on here and just following your purpose and following what God's asking of you and being bold in it. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for being bold in it. So thank you. I appreciate you.
God-sized goals are the best. And
Yes.
definitely thank you for getting this out there. Just the more people that hear and have thoughtfulness around their purpose is better. And for anybody like that wants to get a little bit more information on the health stuff, you can just go to gethormonesnow.com and we'll make sure that we get you educated.
Okay, I'm writing that down because that's actually exactly what I was going to ask you is how can people follow up with that, get more information?
With me personally, if you just go over to kellyresendez.com, it's got all my resources there.
Okay. Thank you, Kelly. That wraps up this episode, you guys. So thank you for listening to The Purpose Effect. If today's episode spoke to you, share it with a friend. Subscribe. We're on all major channels,